All right, so are you ready to dive into some really practical stuff today?
I am ready.
We're talking about 10 tips for living a healthier and longer life, and I think this is something that everybody wants, you know? We all want to feel good, we want to have energy.
Absolutely.
We want to be around for a long time, so no crazy diets or intense workout plans in this episode, just simple things you can actually do every day.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about sustainable changes, not just those flash-in-the-pan trends.
Yeah, and our source for all of this is an article from Hello Sehat. It's an Indonesian health website.
Okay.
You might be thinking, Indonesian health tips, really? But trust me, the wisdom in this article is really universal and super in-depth.
You know what I find really fascinating about this article is it really digs into the why behind each of these tips.
Yeah.
So it's not just telling you to do this or do that, but it actually explains the science behind it so you can actually understand how these things are impacting your body.
I like that. All right, let's jump right in. The first tip is all about stress management, and the article says stress less, live longer. And I'm definitely guilty of this, just kind of brush stress off like it's no big deal. But this article really opened my eyes to just how much damage chronic stress can do.
Yeah. It's not just something that's all in your head.
Right.
Imagine your body like constantly being slammed into that fight or flight mode.
Mm-hmm.
So cortisol, the stress hormone, is just flooding your system. And that can actually halt your digestion. It can spike your blood sugar. And it's really like fast forwarding through the effects of chronic diseases.
Okay, that's a scary thought. I knew stress was bad, but I never realized it could actually mimic the damage of long-term illness. So what can we do about it? The article talks about deep breathing exercises, which I've tried with mixed results.
Yeah, deep breathing is a great start.
Okay.
But it's really about finding what works for you.
Okay.
The key is to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest counterpart to that fight or flight.
Okay.
So some people find solace in nature. Maybe some people find it in music or a good book.
So it sounds like it's less about the specific activity and more about finding what your personal off switch is for stress.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this is where I thought the article got really interesting. It argues that forcing yourself to relax can actually be counterproductive.
Really?
Yeah. The activities you choose to de-stress should spark joy. They shouldn't feel like another chore on your to-do list.
So no guilt tripping myself into meditating if it just makes me feel more anxious.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that I can get behind that, but we can't just breathe our way to a longer life, right?
Right.
This brings us to tip number 2, your plate, your powerhouse, and it's all about mindful eating.
Yeah, think of it this way. Every bite you take is either an investment in your health or a contribution to future disease.
Ooh.
So it's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that nourish and fuel your body.
Yeah, and the article gets very specific here. It recommends a macronutrient ratio of 40% complex carbs, 30% lean protein, and 30% healthy fats. Now, when I hear fats, I immediately think greasy burger is not exactly healthy.
Yeah, and that's where understanding the types of fats is really important.
Okay.
So we're talking about unsaturated fats, the good guys that are found in avocados, olive oil, nuts, and fatty fish.
Okay.
And these fats actually help to regulate your hormones. They boost your brain function. They even make you feel fuller for longer.
So not all fats are created equal. It's about choosing the right ones to support our well-being. The article also really emphasizes portion control, which honestly I always find a little restrictive.
Yeah, and it's not about tiny portions.
Okay.
It's more about being mindful of your body's signals. So are you eating because you're truly hungry, or are you eating because you're bored or stressed or just out of habit?
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Tuning into those cues can really help to prevent overeating, even of healthy foods.
That's a good point. I've definitely been guilty of mindlessly snacking while I'm working. It's not even because I'm hungry, it's just something to do. But healthy eating can be kind of boring, right? I mean, salads and steamed veggies every day. How do we make it enjoyable and something we can stick with?
I think that's a great question, and it's about getting creative. Experiment with spices and herbs, try some new cooking techniques, or explore different cuisines. Don't view healthy eating as a chore, view it as an adventure.
I love that. An adventure for your taste buds. And speaking of adventure, this leads us perfectly into the next tip. Move it or lose it. This is where the article gets a little more energetic. What do you think?
I love this tip.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't prescribe, a rigid workout regimen. It's about finding movement that you genuinely enjoy and then weaving it into your life.
So I don't have to force myself onto a treadmill if I dread it.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
It could be dancing, swimming, hiking, gardening.
Ooh, gardening. I like that.
Anything that gets your heart pumping and brings you joy.
I do like to garden. But I've heard of people that thrive on barely any exercise, like those high-powered CEOs who are running empires on 4 hours of sleep and barely break a sweat. Is there a right amount of movement for everybody?
It's true that individual needs vary, but the science is clear. Regular physical activity, even in moderate amounts, benefits everyone.
Okay.
And there's research that shows that just 15 minutes of brisk walking daily can actually reduce your risk of heart disease by 14%.
Wow.
And not only that, but exercise helps to regulate those stress hormones that we talked about earlier.
Oh, right.
So it creates a really positive feedback loop.
So exercise helps us manage stress, which helps us make better food choices. It's like it's all connected.
Exactly.
But even with exercise, those sugar cravings can be hard to resist. This leads us to tip number 4, taming the sugar monster. I'm a sucker for sweets. What's one thing I can do today to start cutting back?
Well, a really simple change is to swap out those sugary drinks for water or unsweetened tea.
Okay.
That liquid sugar is a major culprit in so many health problems. So start by gradually reducing the amount of sugar that you add to your coffee or your tea and opt for whole fruits instead of fruit juices, which are often packed with added sugar.
So it's really about tackling those hidden sugars that are lurking everywhere.
Exactly.
Okay. But water can be so bland. How do we make staying hydrated more appealing? This ties into tip number 5, which is all about hydration.
You can infuse your water with fruits or herbs, or maybe even a splash of sparkling water, just to give it a little bit of a flavor boost. Think cucumber and mint strawberries and basil.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
And remember, thirst isn't always a reliable indicator.
yeah.
By the time you actually feel thirsty, you're already mildly dehydrated.
Wow, I had no idea. So sipping water throughout the day is key, even if we don't feel parched.
Yes.
But you know what else makes me feel good? A solid night's sleep.
Yeah.
And that's tip number 6, right?
Yes. The article quotes a sleep expert who calls sleep the most basic need for a healthy lifestyle. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Sleep is when your body repairs and regenerates. It's consolidating memories. It's releasing hormones. It's like a nightly tune-up for your whole system.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But with our busy lives, squeezing in 7 to 9 hours of sleep feels impossible. Is there a shortcut?
Well, not really a shortcut.
Okay.
But consistency is really key. Imagine your sleep cycle like a well-oiled machine. If you're constantly throwing it off with late nights or erratic wake-up times, it just can't function properly.
Yeah, that's true.
So establishing a regular sleep schedule, even on weekends, can work wonders.
Okay, so no more binge watching shows until 2 a.m. Noted.
Right.
But what about those habits that actually harm our health? I'm thinking about smoking and excessive drinking, which the article addresses in tip number 7.
Yeah, and this is where the article takes a really firm stance. These habits just don't have a place in a healthy lifestyle. The risks are well documented. We're talking about everything from heart disease and cancer to mental health issues and addiction.
Yeah, it can be a tough conversation to have, but the article stresses that it's so important to try to quit these habits and seek support if you need it.
Absolutely. There's no shame in asking for help.
Right.
Quitting smoking is actually one of the most impactful things you can do for your health, and reducing your alcohol consumption can significantly improve both your physical and mental well-being.
So if you are struggling with these habits, know that you're not alone. There are resources available to support you. But let's switch gears a little bit and lighten the mood. The next tip is one I never would have connected to health: keeping your home clean.
Yeah, this one surprised me a little bit too.
Right.
But it makes sense. When you really think about it, a clean home is more than just aesthetically pleasing. It impacts your health. It reduces the spread of germs and allergens, and it creates this healthier environment for you to thrive in.
Yeah, it's like creating a sanctuary where you can relax and recharge without worrying about all those hidden threats. But I am someone who tends to let the cleaning pile up until it just becomes this big, overwhelming task. Any tips on how to make it feel less daunting?
I would say break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Okay.
So instead of trying to deep clean your entire house in one scale, maybe focus on one room or even just one specific area each day.
Okay.
And don't underestimate the power of decluttering.
Oh, yeah.
A clean and organized space can actually reduce feelings of stress and anxiety.
That's a good point. I always feel so much more relaxed when my surroundings are tidy. But let's talk about being proactive with our health. Tip number 9 is all about regular medical checkups, something I'm definitely guilty of putting off.
Easy to do that when we're feeling fine, right?
Right, exactly.
Think of it as like preventative maintenance for your body.
Okay.
Regular checkups allow your doctor to actually catch potential problems early on, when they're often much easier to treat.
So it's like getting your car serviced regularly to prevent a major breakdown.
Exactly.
But finding a doctor you trust and feel comfortable with can be a challenge.
It's true. Finding a doctor who really listens to you, answers your questions, and takes your concerns seriously is crucial. Don't be afraid to shop around until you find a healthcare provider that feels like the right fit.
So advocate for your own health and find a doctor who's a true partner in your well-being.
Exactly.
And finally, we come to tip number 10, the simplest yet maybe the most important of all, hand washing.
Ah, yes.
I know we all know to do this, but it's worth repeating.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Hand washing is one of the most effective ways to prevent the spread of germs and protect yourself and others from getting sick.
It seems so basic, and yet we often rush through it or even skip it altogether. What's the proper technique to make sure we're actually getting those germs off of our hands?
The key is to use soap and water and scrub for at least 20 seconds.
Oh.
Make sure you get under your nails and between your fingers.
All the nooks and crannies.
Yes. Think of it as like a mini meditation on cleanliness.
Little mindfulness moment for our hands.
I love that. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From managing stress and eating mindfully to moving our bodies, prioritizing sleep, kicking those bad habits, and even keeping our homes clean.
And we've seen how all of these seemingly simple tips are really interconnected, creating a holistic approach to well-being that goes far beyond just the physical.
Yeah, it's about taking care of ourselves on all levels, mental, emotional, and physical, to live those longer, healthier, and happier lives.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Very good point.
So welcome back. Before we dive in a little deeper, I want to highlight one of the things that I thought was really powerful from this article from Hello Hat.
Okay.
You know, it's not about any single tip being this like revolutionary thing. It's really the cumulative effect.
Yeah.
It's like these tiny adjustments you make actually create this upward spiral of well-being.
So it's like a domino effect. One thing sets off another.
Yeah, exactly.
So like even just making one small change, like drinking more water, could have ripple effects on other areas of my life.
Absolutely. Imagine you start exercising regularly. That often leads to better sleep, which then boosts your mood and your energy levels. And then you're more likely to make healthier food choices. You're better able to manage stress.
Oh.
So it's this beautiful cascade of positive reinforcement.
It's not about being perfect in every area. It's just about like those small wins adding up over time.
Exactly. The article doesn't advocate for this all or nothing approach.
Yeah.
It's about progress, not perfection. You know, finding what works for you and making those sustainable changes that weave into your life, not disrupt it.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of health advice falls short. You know, it's like so big and overwhelming that just end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
But this feels manageable.
Yeah, and mindset is really crucial here.
Okay.
You know, if you approach this with a positive attitude and you believe in your ability to actually make these changes, that's what makes all the difference.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about self-compassion.
Yeah.
You know, celebrating those small victories along the way, rather than beating yourself up for any slip-ups.
Yeah, that's so true. We are our own worst critics. But let's go back to some of those specific tips and how they connect to the bigger picture.
Okay.
We talked about stress earlier.
Yes.
But the article really dives deeper into how chronic stress can actually weaken your immune system and make you more susceptible to infections.
And it's not just about, you know, catching a cold easier.
Right.
Chronic stress puts you at a higher risk for everything from heart disease and diabetes to autoimmune disorders and even some types of cancer.
That is a lot. So managing stress isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about protecting ourselves from serious health problems down the road.
Exactly. And it's not just physical health that suffers.
Right.
Chronic stress can really wreak havoc on your mental well-being as well,
Yeah.
leading to anxiety, depression, and burnout.
So it's this vicious cycle. You're stressed, you make bad choices, and it just makes you more stressed.
Absolutely. You're trapped, which is why finding those healthy coping mechanisms is so crucial.
Right.
You know, whether it's exercise, meditation, spending time with loved ones, or seeking professional support, it's about finding what works for you and building resilience.
So it's like we're building up a shield against those physical and mental health problems by managing our stress.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's switch gears and talk about nutrition. We touched on the macronutrient ratio earlier, but the article really emphasizes that it's not just about hitting those numbers, it's about the quality of the food.
Yes.
So a balanced diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein. That's what provides the essential nutrients that our bodies need to thrive.
I agree.
But honestly, I struggle with eating enough veggies.
Okay.
They just don't excite me the same way like a plate of French fries does.
Right.
Do you have any tips on how to make healthier choices more appealing?
I think it's about getting creative.
Okay.
Roast your veggies with herbs and spices. Experiment with different cooking techniques. Maybe incorporate them into smoothies or soups.
Okay.
Think beyond the steamed broccoli.
Yeah, I like that. Make it more interesting, more flavorful. And the article really calls out processed foods, sugary drinks, and those unhealthy fats as major culprits in chronic disease.
Yes.
And they're everywhere.
They are.
How do we navigate this world that is saturated with these temptations?
It's about becoming a conscious consumer. Read labels carefully, pay attention to portion sizes, and be mindful of those sneaky marketing tactics
Right.
that are designed to make unhealthy foods seem really appealing.
So we have to develop this sixth sense for detecting those hidden sugars and those unhealthy ingredients.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about the importance of hydration earlier.
Yes.
But the article really goes deep into the science behind it. Water isn't just about quenching your thirst. It's essential for every bodily function.
That's right.
I always thought water was just water.
Right.
But it's this key element that impacts everything from regulating our body temperature to transporting nutrients, flushing out toxins. It's like the lifeblood of our system.
Absolutely. And we lose water constantly throughout the day through breathing, sweating, and even digestion.
Oh, wow.
So replenishing those fluids is crucial for maintaining optimal health.
So how much water do we actually need? Is that 8 glasses a day rule just a total myth?
There's no magic number that applies to everyone. Individual needs vary depending on factors like your activity level, the climate you live in, overall health.
Right.
The best gauge is to listen to your body, drink when you're thirsty, and aim for urine that's pale yellow in color.
Okay, that makes sense. But sometimes plain water can be a little boring. What are some ways we can make hydration more fun?
We talked about infused water earlier.
Yeah.
You can also try sparkling water, herbal teas, or even just adding a squeeze of lemon or lime to your water.
Ooh, a little citrus.
Yes, for a refreshing twist.
Okay, so we've covered stress management, mindful eating, hydration. Now let's go back to physical activity.
Okay.
The article emphasizes the importance of finding activities you enjoy,
Yes.
incorporating them into your daily routine. But is there a minimum amount of movement that we need to actually reap the benefits?
Well, the ideal amount varies based on your fitness levels and your goals.
Right.
Aiming for at least 30 minutes
Okay.
of moderate intensity exercise most days of the week is a good starting point.
Okay, 30 minutes, I can totally make that happen.
And it doesn't have to be all at once.
Oh, good.
Even short bursts of activity throughout the day can add up.
Okay.
Take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Okay.
Walk or bike to work. Or simply get up and move around every hour.
So it's about finding ways to just weave movement into our lives,
Exactly.
not necessarily having these big chunks of time for a structured workout.
Yes, and remember, exercise doesn't have to be a chore.
Right.
Find activities that you genuinely enjoy, whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or even just playing with your kids or your pets.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so now we've got our bodies moving. It's time to prioritize some rest and recovery.
Yes.
The article really stresses the importance of sleep, calling it non-negotiable for a healthy lifestyle, but I am a night owl.
Okay.
Is there any hope for me to become a morning person?
It's not about becoming a morning person.
Okay.
It's about creating a consistent sleep schedule that works for you.
Okay.
And yes, there is hope for everyone. Start by establishing a regular bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends.
Oh, weekends too. Okay.
This helps to actually regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
So consistency is key.
Yes.
What about those nights when sleep just eludes me? I'm tossing and turning for hours and then I'm just exhausted the next day. It's a vicious cycle.
Creating a relaxing bedtime routine can help signal to your body that it's time to wind down.
Okay.
Think about things like taking a warm bath, listening to calming music, reading a book, and try to avoid screen time for at least an hour before bed.
Okay.
Because that blue light emitted from devices can actually interfere with melatonin production, which is the hormone that regulates sleep.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. So it's about creating the right environment for sleep. No more scrolling through social media in bed.
Exactly. And remember, if you are consistently struggling with sleep, it's important to consult a healthcare professional to rule out any underlying medical conditions.
Yeah. That makes sense. Sleep is so crucial, and yet we often sacrifice it,
We do.
for work or entertainment or even just our own busy minds.
It's true. We live in a culture that often glorifies busyness and sleep deprivation.
We do.
But the truth is, adequate sleep is absolutely essential for both our physical and mental well-being.
So true. Okay, so we've covered stress management, mindful eating, hydration, exercise, and sleep. Now let's revisit those habits that are actively harming our health.
Oh.
Smoking and excessive alcohol consumption.
Yes, these are tough habits to break.
Yeah.
But the article doesn't sugarcoat the risks.
Right.
Smoking damages nearly every organ in your body,
Wow.
increasing your risk of heart disease, stroke, lung cancer, and a whole host of other serious health problems.
It's scary to think about the damage we're doing with every puff.
Yeah, and while moderate alcohol consumption may have some health benefits,
Okay.
excessive alcohol intake increases your risk of liver disease, heart disease, certain cancers, and mental health problems.
So any benefits are outweighed by those risks.
Yes, but there are people who argue that, a glass of wine a day is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
The research on the health benefits of moderate alcohol consumption is mixed.
Okay.
And it's important to define what moderate actually means. And that's 1 drink per day for women and 2 drinks per day for men.
Okay, so moderation really is key. But what about quitting those habits altogether? What are the benefits of just ditching them?
The benefits are numerous.
Okay.
Within just 20 minutes of quitting smoking,
Wow.
your heart rate and blood pressure drop.
That's quick.
Within a year, your risk of heart disease is cut in half.
Oh, wow.
And the longer you abstain from smoking and excessive alcohol consumption,
Mm-hmm.
the greater the health benefits.
So it's never too late to quit, but it's not always easy.
Right.
What advice does this article give for people who are struggling?
The key is to find support.
Okay.
Talk to your doctor.
Mm.
Join a support group, seek professional counseling.
Mm-hmm.
There are also medications and therapies available that can help with cravings and those withdrawal symptoms.
So don't go it alone. Reach out for help if you need it. Now let's shift gears a little bit to a lighter topic, keeping our homes clean. We talked earlier about how this can impact our health, but how does clutter factor into all of this?
Well, a cluttered environment can actually contribute to feelings of stress, anxiety, and even depression.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. I always thought it was just an aesthetic problem.
It can be mental clutter as well.
Okay.
Unfinished tasks, unmade decisions, all of those things weighing on our minds.
So it's not just about getting rid of physical stuff. It's about creating a sense of order and peace
Exactly.
in our surroundings and in our minds.
Exactly. A clean and organized space can have a really calming effect,
Yeah.
allowing you to feel more relaxed and focused.
Okay, so we've tackled those bad habits and created a nice, clean, and calming home environment. Now, let's talk about being proactive with our health. The article talks about the importance of those regular medical checkups, something that I am not always good about.
It's easy to put them off when we're feeling fine.
Yeah.
But remember, prevention is always better than cure.
Right.
Regular checkups allow your doctor to monitor your health, catch potential problems early on, and offer personalized advice.
But what if you don't have any specific concerns? Are checkups still important?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even if you're feeling healthy, regular checkups are essential for maintaining your well-being.
Okay.
They allow your doctor to screen for potential health issues, assess your risk factors, and offer preventative care tips.
So it's like taking your car in for a tune-up, even if it's running smoothly.
Exactly. Regular maintenance helps to ensure that everything is functioning optimally
Right.
and can help prevent major problems down the road.
Okay, so we've covered stress management, mindful eating, hydration, exercise, sleep ditching those bad habits, creating a clean and clutter-free home, and getting those regular checkups. That is a lot to process.
It is a lot, and it all ties back to that idea of interconnectedness.
Yeah.
These 10 simple tips, when implemented together, create this holistic approach to well-being that benefits your mind, your body, and your spirit.
I like that I'm really starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not about any one single action. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports our overall well-being.
Precisely. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
There will be ups and downs, but the key is to keep moving forward one step at a time.
Small steps, big impact. And that brings us to the final tip, and the one that kind of ties everything together, hand washing.
Ah,
It might seem like a simple act, but it's a powerful reminder of our interconnectedness.
absolutely. Hand washing is a simple yet effective way to protect yourself and others from the spread of germs. It's a small act of kindness that can have a ripple effect throughout our community.
So let's all make a pledge to wash our hands thoroughly and often, not just for our own health, but for the well-being of everyone around us.
And remember, it's not just about the physical act of washing your hands.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a sense of awareness and responsibility for our own health and the health of our community.
Beautifully said. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive. We explored the interconnectedness of these tips. We delved a little deeper into the science behind them, and we learned some really practical strategies for incorporating them into our lives.
Yes, and we've seen that even those small changes, when made consistently, can have a profound impact on our overall well-being.
Yeah, it's really about taking this holistic approach and nourishing our minds, our bodies, and our spirits to live those longer, healthier, happier lives.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Embrace the process, be kind to yourself, and celebrate those victories along the way.
I love that. Great insights. We'll be back in the final part to wrap things up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into these 10 simple but powerful tips for a healthier, happier life. It's been really amazing how much we've learned from just this one article from Hello Hat.
It really goes to show that you can find wisdom in some pretty unexpected places. And it reinforces that, sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful.
Absolutely. We tend to overcomplicate things, searching for that magic solution when really the answers are right there in front of us.
It's about stripping away all of the noise and getting back to basics, nourishing our bodies with those good foods, moving our bodies with joy, making rest and recovery a priority, cultivating that clean and calming environment, and really nurturing our mental and emotional well-being.
It's that holistic approach, recognizing that our physical, mental, and emotional health are all interconnected.
Absolutely. We can't just compartmentalize our health.
Right.
What affects one area inevitably affects the others.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Well, I think the most important message is that those small, consistent changes can have this huge ripple effect, creating this positive upward spiral in all areas of your life. It's about progress, not perfection.
I love that it's about focusing on those small wins, celebrating every step forward and not beating ourselves up when we have those inevitable slip-ups.
Absolutely. And it's also about knowing that you're not alone on this journey.
Right.
There are resources out there, whether it's a supportive community, a trusted healthcare professional, or even just a good friend to cheer you on.
So true. So as you go about your day, dear listener, we encourage you to reflect on these 10 simple tips. Which ones really resonated with you? What small changes can you start making today to nudge yourself closer to that healthier, happier version of you? Remember, you have the power to shape your own well-being. It starts with making that choice to prioritize yourself and your health. And it is a journey, not a destination, so embrace the process.
Yes.
Be patient with yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
And celebrate those small victories along the way. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and empowering. Until next time, stay curious, stay healthy, and keep diving deep.